It's time to make the head for my pumpkin man. So what I got here, as I've said before, is a cheap, it's not a Funkin brand pumpkin. It's some generic Funkin type pumpkin that I believe I bought at Menards one year. So I'm going to take this marker first because I'm going to carve this guy. And I'm going to draw some eyes on him first. Take these little pumpkin carving utensils that I got somewhere, I don't know. I'm just going to carve him out. I think these are just regular pumpkin cutters that you would do on any jack-o'-lantern, you know, any real pumpkin. Okay, well, we got the first die cut out here. Ooh. Pumpkin Man's head's all carved out. You can see I cut a large chunk of the bottom out of this pumpkin because I want the light that's going to be in there to sort of shine down on his body. So, alright, the next step I'm going to do is on the back of it, real quick, I'm going to mark where I'm going to, the hole that I need to make to fasten him to his body. Good enough. Whoa, that's not good at all. Okay, so as you can see, my little pipe fixture, stick it in there. And then on that side, it would clamp him. You know, obviously PVC pipe glue. I'm going to take Gorilla Glue, put it all around it. And then I'm actually going to sturdy all this up with the Gorilla Glue because it's a little soft, number one. And number two, when you look inside that pumpkin, it doesn't look like a pumpkin, it looks like a funkin'. So the way that Gorilla Glue kind of like expands and dries, it dries hard for firmness, but it also gives it a cool looking, you know, pumpkin interior. The next step is I'm going to corpse this guy. I make a lot of stuff for my haunt this way, but it's just basically cotton and latex. So these are a bunch of cotton balls I took and unraveled, you know. And then what you'll do is you paint latex on these, on the pumpkin, and then you put the cotton on there, and then you put a little bit more latex on the cotton. Take my little brush. Alright, let's see what we got here. We'll go on this side first. And you brush it on. And then I'm push it into the pumpkin seam. So then once I get it on there, then I'll stipple on. You can brush it if you want, but I found that sometimes when I brush it versus stippling it on, it like pulls the cotton off, and I don't like that. Okay. Stipple that on. You know, there's a small section of it, so I'm going to get him all done real quick though. I got my Pumpkin Man's head outside drying because it's hot today, so I should dry that latex pretty quickly. So now I'm going to start making the hands for him. First thing I did when I make hands is I take some cardboard and I sort of trace out roughly what I want the hand to look like, and then I cut it out. And then the next thing I do, because I want to be able to bend it and have it hold, I will take some wire that I bought and string it through the hand. And at the top I've cut a little slit that I can fit the wire through and bend it. Okay. And then I'll take the wire, stick it through the wrist. Next thing I'll do is take some electrical tape, fat tape around the finger where I've bent the wire. And then I'll run tape along the length of the wire too. That's good enough to keep that wire in place until I've latexed and cottoned over the hands, because I do the same thing for my hands as I do that pumpkin head. I finished attaching all the wire to the fingers of the hand, and then I ran it through the wrist, took a pair of linesmen, and twisted it together. And that's what I'm going to use to insert the hand into the arm. After I did that, I took some tin foil and crumpled it up to make it look like finger bones. So I also hot glued it all down to the hand, but I wanted to do it in a wavy pattern, not a straight bone pattern. I wanted it to look like, you know, gnarly vines. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cotton and latex over this, just like I did the pumpkin. Pumpkin Man's hands dried overnight, and as you can see, now that they've dried, I can see some areas that need some additional cotton and latex, like along this tin foil here. So that's no big deal. That was to be expected. But other than that, they look pretty good. And then obviously I'm going to have to latex the bottom. Pumpkin Man's head is looking good. Very, very little to touch up. I'm going to go back, second coat these things, touch them up, and then we should be ready to paint him. Second coat of latex has been applied to both the hands and the pumpkin head, and I have painted all of them with a coat of black paint already. One thing I did for the black paint coat was I took liquid latex and mixed it with black paint. I didn't just paint the black paint directly onto the liquid latex, because if you do that, you do run the risk of it flaking off easier. And there's a mixing it with the latex, the acrylic with the latex kind of prevents that. The other thing I did was put a bunch of Gorilla Glue, painted a bunch of Gorilla Glue on the inside of this pumpkin for two reasons. One, it kind of strengthens up the pumpkin since it's been carved, and the other thing is it, you know, expands and bubbles up and stuff, so it looked better, or I should say it looks better, I think, with a coat of Gorilla Glue on the inside. Sort of like a pumpkin wood look. Otherwise it's just got that real smooth, you know, hollow pumpkin look, which looks weird. Also, I put it all around the tube, or the piece of PVC pipe that I used to attach it, and I put some on the back side as well. Now it's time to paint the pumpkin head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually mix up some orange using this acrylic paint. This is just yellow and this is bright red. It's bright red because I don't have any regular red. But I'm actually mix it up on the pumpkin jar that I cut out. So then I put some on the brush, and I just kind of go across it like this. Not dry brushing it, but not hitting it exactly all the way. So I went through with the initial coat of that orange that I had mixed up, and I painted this way with it across it. And now I'm going over it with a different color. This is a harvest orange color. It's a little bit brighter shade, I would say. And I did sort of a comparison here. So this is the first coat, brushing this way across it. And now this is this coat. And what I've been doing here is putting a little bit on the brush, not a whole lot, and then actually painting down the pumpkin sections like that. And if you get some in the little cracks, the little seams, and you're not happy with it, you can take a real small, fine tip brush, put some black on it, and then just go through it. It's no big deal. If that sort of thing bothers you, which it bothers me, so that's what I'm going to do. I also took and put an initial coat of brown on the hands, just like that. And then I'm probably going to go over that with some green, actually. So I want it to look like sort of viney. And that's what I want to see, is some green on there. I took some of this Rust-Oleum paint and primer spray and sprayed the body of the Pumpkin Man down right over top of that black plastic. That is what you need to do, is paint it with a paint and primer. You don't want to just go out and spray paint it. Starting to make really good progress on this guy. As you can see, I've started painting the body with some various greens. I did one color green that I kind of mixed up with some green and brown, and I painted that all over. Took a darker green and really watered it down and painted it all in there as a wash. I'm going to let that sit and dry, and then I'm going to go over it with some more greens, some lighter shades. To attach the hands, I took and drilled through the PVC pipe, and then slipped the wire that I had attached to the hands through it, wrapped it around a few times, and then took Gorilla Glue and put it in the pipe and all around the wire and the hand, just like I did on the inside of the pumpkin. I put another coat of green on him. It's a lighter green than I had been doing. I would say I put it on pretty thick, just like I wanted, so it's starting to come along. I used the same technique as you would for dry brushing, other than I kept the paint on thick and kind of hit it a little hard. Let's get a real close shot. It's like 3 different greens plus some brown. I'm fairly happy with it. So the Pumpkin Man is finished. I still got to do a lot of work on the rest of the scare zone, and I'm just going to do one more video on it once I get all the other props that I'm going to stick on here. But I wanted to show the Pumpkin Man done, so you can see him. Looks pretty good. Let's come in here and take a closer look. So you can see the light in here, and I'm going to wait another hour or so when it gets dark and show this thing lit up with the light that I got in there. And then I added some stuff like, it's supposed to look like little leaves. I don't know if it's coming across in the video, but this is actually a different color than the body to stand out. And the same thing with the ones that I made and put on the hands. I wanted them colored different, so you could distinguish the leaf part from the body. So as it starts to get darker, you can now see the job the light's doing. It's not completely dark out, but it's getting some pretty good cascade and all around here. So especially right here was what I wanted, so it's doing the job. So it's pretty much dark out right now, so you can see. Obviously the camera doesn't pick up the best light, or the best in the dark, but you can see it will light up. For instance, that can of spray paint down there. You can see pretty good. So it should light up with some pretty decent detail down there. Any props?